Hello, people, and welcome. For brutal reasons, I'm low on dopamine. So this is an interview that I have been really sort of hesitant to react to or to watch even until now because you got Tucker Carlson and Cenk Uygur. So not all, but many people who are from that generation, have been exposed to, if not being like PDF files, that they have been working with such people, whether that they know it or not. And so the lack of condemnation. So Tucker not condemning as hard Trump and the Epstein, and is not being very straightforward about it. And the same thing goes for Cenk for his Democratic Party. They're both, in my opinion, see, this is what the establishment fears. So this is the first comment. So they're trying to depart from the establishment to the common people, and I feel like I am doubting the sincerity of those folks, so that's why it's been not as easy for me to do something like that. But before that we start, let's play the give me a second. But yeah, as I said, I'm sort of doubtful about both of them, and this is why I have reacted to the Candace Bassam Yusuf, because those people have been more sincere. Yeah, these two, we will see what they're gonna be saying. So I hope that they talk about Trump thing. I hope that they distance themselves from those PDF files, but we will see.
Good to see you, Jank.
Good to see you, Tucker.
I haven't
All right.
seen you since we had
I like also love the no BS intro. You just get into it right away. That is no, like in the beginning, blah blah blah. No, just right away. They're talking. So I really do like that about that.
debate years ago, I think, at Politicon. Totally different world. But I was thinking this morning as I was driving in, I'm like, of all the things you could do to infuriate your audience, this is probably at the top of the list. Like, you don't need to do this.
Wait,
Why
what?
are you doing this?
Yeah. So there's a couple of reasons why.
Oh, why are you doing this?
Number
Okay.
one, I want to take yes for an answer. You're anti-war.
Yeah.
We've been anti-war for 20 years. So
I have not been. So bless you for that.
thank you, brother, and welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And so that's amazing. That's important. And I also want to break down the barriers of Republicans versus Democrats, right wing versus left wing. I think that it's kind of used to divide us. And I think that the powerful already have an incredible elite team. They're very, very organized. And they do it through donations
Oh, yeah.
to the
Big
politicians,
time.
etc. But the
Ice.
American people are not organized. We have built two teams, but those two teams, the Republicans and the Democrats, have been trained to fight each other instead of fighting up, right?
Exactly.
And so when you split the population that way, you take away all of their energy because you have them use their energy against one another rather than against you. It's actually brilliant.
It's
And
how the British ruled India.
Exactly, right?
Yes.
And it's done on a meta level in every way. Also, by the way, on a global level, Christians versus Muslims. 2 billion here, 2 billion there. Make sure you guys are fighting one another. And hey, look at that. We've used up all your energy fighting one another and not looking up.
I've noticed, yeah.
Okay. So, and then of course, the third issue is Israel. And so that's what I want to talk to you a lot about today, I hope. And I think that that's an animating issue for a number.
All juicy topics. I'm sorry for stopping this early, but I'm so far more pleasantly surprised by both of them. Tucker seems to be. So Cenk is being more upfront. I don't know if Tucker expected that.
A lot about today, I hope. And I think that that's an animating issue for a number of reasons, not because it's the end all be all, but because it is deeply symbolic. And so, whether it's Big Pharma or Big Oil or APAC, they are buying our politicians. And so, you're a rare person saying that. I'm a person saying that. And they mainstream media works against us and they try to shut us up and say, shh, don't tell anybody about money in politics.
Yes.
No, these politicians are honest and honorable people having debates. They're not having any debates. They're cashing checks. And so I want all of America to know that. And at the end of the day, Tucker, if we don't unite as Americans, the powerful are going to rule us forever.
I think that is absolutely true. So let's just start with motive. I hate going to motive because it's like we don't even know our own motives a lot of the time, right? Motive is very hard to determine. But when this topic comes up, people go immediately to motive. You're taking money from somebody, a foreign power. Okay. You've got some secret religious affiliation. You're filled with hate. It's all about why you have these views rather than addressing the views themselves. I've just
Right.
noticed this,
Yeah. Right.
having
Right.
lived
That's
it.
correct.
And so
100%.
I just want to ask you about Israel specifically. How did you come to this and what are your motives?
Yeah. So it's a difficult one for me because I grew up in a town that was about 50% Jewish. So I have tons of Jewish friends. I have Jewish family. I have a nephew and niece who are Jewish.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to make people uncomfortable, and I don't want this to be about the Jews. That's crazy.
All right, so we're drawing the line here. They don't want to make it about the Jews. Okay, so this is the typical sort of like backing off. So I'm noticing a pattern here. So you got people who are coming out of the mainstream media trying to, appeal to the younger population and they're probably trying to convert some of the older people too. You know, they're doing this thing where it's like, God forbid they're not, it's only this and that, which I'm not saying is wrong, but I'm just noticing that this is a factor. While most of the younger people, they're less likely to speak about that, even if they believe in it. Like, I don't believe that's every single J person, but I would not go around saying, "Oh no, I'm not. I'm making it sure to. I'm talking about only about this." I don't know. I wouldn't like talk about that as much. Should be like a known thing.
And what I tell people all the
I
time
agree.
is, hey, listen, I like my friend Dave, my friend Jack. Mossad never called them and asked
Right.
permission, right? Netanyahu was never like, hey, should we take 53% of Gaza? What do you think, Dave? Right? So
Yes.
that's not how it works. So if you're so I anyone who's got that intent, I'm not interested in.
I
Okay.
agree.
You're not going to have me as an ally. It's not going to work out. I have Jewish family. I have Jewish friends. I'll never sell them out. Okay.
Right.
So, and the other thing about Jewish Americans is they're Americans and I believe in a united America. Okay.
Yes.
So you're for America. I love you and I protect you. I'll give you one last example, although I can give you thousands, right? But Dave Smith is an amazing ally of ours.
A wonderful man. Too.
Yeah.
I agree.
So if you come for Dave, you come for all of us. He's one of us.
Yes.
Okay. We protect our own Americans.
Right.
Okay. So now, why do I have an issue with Israel then? Even though I would actually naturally want to ally with Israel, given
Yes.
all the Jewish friends and family that I have, right? And I didn't know a lot of Palestinians growing up. I only knew one Palestinian. We had one in our high school, and we had hundreds of Jewish folks who loved Israel, etc. Right? The problem with Israel isn't just the genocide that they just committed, but that would be enough. That is a horrific injustice
In Gaza.
in Gaza. I mean, you've got well over 70,000 dead. You've got God knows how many thousands buried in the rubble, and they're adding to the count every day. You've got 10% of the entire population that was either killed or injured, which is a stunning number. That's why every genocide scholar says it's obviously a genocide, right?
10% of the entire population?
Yes, either killed or injured. Okay.
So that'd be over 200,000.
Yes, that's right. Because the
Wow.
amount injured are well over 130,000. Okay.
But just to be clear on that, like that's a number that we should know, I think, since we paid for it. And I think it's so important to know what death tolls and the injury count is because you did this and you have to know what the consequences are. I think it's totally fair. We don't know in the Russia-Ukraine war. We have no idea. And we have no idea in Gaza. So I just want to say that there are estimates that it's over 500,000. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the point. We should know that.
Yeah,
We have
absolutely.
a right to know that.
So, Tucker, that's going to go to points 2 and 3, which
Sorry, I could just erupted with him. He started erupting.
No, not at all, not at all. But I want to come back to that because 2 and 3 are super important because it's symbolic of the power that all the donor class has, not just Israel, but also with Israel you have gaslighting that is extreme, where you don't have that in any other.
Can you explain what that is?
So you'll say, hey, I don't think we should give Israel another $30 billion or another 100 billion. I want to get into all these numbers in a second, right? And they'll say anti-Semite. Now, So wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Like we could Mad Lib this, right? You take any Israeli talking point and put in a different country, and it's
I think that Tucker Carlson here trying to see what goes on inside of the Democratic Party when they try to speak out about this, and the funny thing that he's discovering, or at least I'm not sure if he's actually discovering. Maybe he's pretending to discover that it's the same exact thing that goes into the Republican Party. It's the same crap. You're an anti-Semite. Same crap.
sounds absurd, right?
Yeah.
Like you owe Thailand $300 billion. People will be like, well, no, we don't. Anti-Thai racist, right? You're like, what? I don't even know any Thai people. What are you talking about? You're an anti-Thaiist, right? No, I'm not, right?
Why do you hate Thailand?
Exactly. But that's, see, but
You're obsessed with Thailand. That's my favorite. You're obsessed with Thailand. Okay.
well, by the way, I would be obsessed with Thailand if Thailand took $300 billion off of us, right? And if Thailand was like, you have to attack everyone else in Southeast Asia. You know, we have a Thai Christian heritage.
Yeah.
And imagine if India did that. And they're like, we have a Hindu Christian heritage, and that's why you need to attack Pakistan.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're not for attacking Pakistan, you're clearly being paid by Bhutan.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
People who are working for a foreign government accusing you, who just want to stay out of it, of working for a foreign government. Is that what gaslighting is?
Yeah. Gaslighting is when the media takes something very reasonable you're saying and makes it sound like it's crazy. Like, so we say we gave them $21.7 billion in the middle of a genocide. Okay. So that's on top of the 300 billion, right? And that's, by the way, 10 to 12 billion we spent bombing Iran.
I'm just getting kind of a little bit just nauseous just hearing all of that. As an American, as an American, you know, I'm thinking about, I'm like, wow, all of that money could be going to my loved ones, could be going to healthcare, could be going to education, could be going, you know, like, doesn't that make you mad? Doesn't that make you angry? Doesn't that make you boil? We're paying them. I don't. Every time I'm hearing about it, like I get like a spasm going on. Like my eye almost twitches. You know.
On Yemen and almost all their enemies in the same period of time. We just gave them another 8.6 billion and another 3.3 billion. That happened in the last 2 weeks. So when you say, let's just take one sliver of that. Hey, I didn't want to pay for a genocide.
Right.
I didn't want to do that.
I don't.
Right?
I don't want to
Whether
do
it was
it.
the Thai, the Bulgarians, the Israelis.
Doesn't matter.
I don't want to kill 20,000 children. I don't want you to spend my money killing 20,000 children. I don't care what race or religion they are.
Why are you so hateful?
Exactly. And that's literally what they say.
No, I'm against killing kids. They didn't do anything, actually.
Yeah. And they say, so you hate Jews. That's gaslighting, right?
Okay.
Right. That's so wait.
I live in that country. Yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah. So I'm the one trying to stop the killing. I'm for nonviolence. In fact, I'm religiously for nonviolence. If I have any religion at all, it's nonviolence. My heroes, Martin Luther King and Gandhi and Mandela. And so I say, do not do any violence to anyone. It would be, in fact, if someone is doing violence, they're against us. Right. And I say, and you just heard me say it. I say it 1,000 times. I love Jewish people. This is not about the Jews. So, but this country wants us to pay for a genocide. I just don't want to pay for a genocide. They listen to all that and they go, now everybody understand that Cenk Uygur is an anti-Semite who hates Jews and is like an immoral person. And if you're not pro-genocide, you're anti-Jewish. No, don't say.
Just give me a second. All right, we're back here. Let's try to go back a few seconds. All right. Come on.
Immoral person. And if you're not pro-genocide, you're anti-Jewish. No, don't say that. Don't
That's
say
what
that.
you hear all the time.
You're actually going to get my Jewish friends hurt. When you say you're anti-genocide means you're anti-Jewish, that equates Judaism with genocide. Don't.
Yeah.
I don't know anything that drives up anti-Semitism more than that. But back to the original injustice, and then we'll get back to more and more gaslighting, because the gaslighting is another perfect symbol of what mainstream media does and establishment media does, right?
Yes.
They gaslight on almost every issue. So real quick, one more, like Big Pharma. We can't negotiate drug prices. They're like, that's pro-free markets.
No negotiation.
Wait.
That's capitalism.
Not being able to negotiate prices is the exact opposite of the free markets. Everything on television is a lie. It's all an illusion.
That's very funny. I've never really thought about it like that, but that is so
Yeah.
true.
I mean, why are we not rebelling against the biggest socialist or communist program in American history
Totally
that
agree.
we're not allowed to negotiate drug prices? What kind of absurdity is that? And we're the only country on earth that applies to. So it just they're they're like magicians. Establishment media, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, New York Times, Washington Post. They're like, look here, look here. Meanwhile, the action is going on here.
So the new year is here, but that does not mean you've got to overhaul your QRs. Well, the original argument.
By the way, like what he said is something that I've talked about to my peers and people around me for so long, but nobody seems to listen. So yeah, so America is not a capitalist country anymore. It's more like it's the most unfree country. I've traveled many places in the world, and everywhere you go, there is not everywhere exactly, but many places in the Middle East, in Africa, in parts of Europe, price is always negotiable. This culture of you cannot negotiate when you go to Walmart, when you buy your drugs, don't matter what you get, you're not supposed to negotiate. This is the opposite of the free market. This is literally the opposite of the free market. I don't understand for the life of me. How is it a free market if you cannot negotiate anything as a consumer? This doesn't make any sense.
As I remember, I was never involved in this, but I was in, libertarian adjacent world a lot of my life. And so I remember hearing that argument and I remember thinking, yeah, what is that? And they were like, no. If you are allowed to negotiate drug prices, you will kill pharma innovation in the United States and we lead the world in innovation. I'm like, okay, I guess. I didn't realize that.
If you negotiate the price, it will drive the guy out of business. Right, just give me a sec. I am back. So I keep getting calls from a friend of mine who's literally in Qatar. No, I'm not taking money from it. It's a long story. I was right there. He's like a Tunisian guy, and I mean, I don't know. I don't want to keep talking about it because it seems super weird right now. But he's my school friend. I used to be bullied. I used to have such a bad time at school, and he took me. And he's from Tunisia. He's not Qatari at all. you know. But yeah, he took me in, and we've been friends since 15 years. He's calling me again. Oh my gosh. All right, so leave my Tunisian friend aside. Let's get back to it. Let's go back few seconds, I mean. All right.
Innovation in the United States and we lead the world in innovation. I'm like, okay, I guess. I didn't realize that a lot of pharma is just poison anyway. This is before the Sacklers, killed a lot of people in Appalachia. And I was like, okay. But then you watch pharma offshore. Like they offshored. Like New Jersey, you grew up in New Jersey, was a pharma stronghold. Basking Ridge, that whole area is filled with pharma companies.
I had no idea about that.
They're making the drugs there. They are not anymore. We don't make antibiotics. We don't make vitamin C. We don't make all these drugs because they offshored them. So we protected them from fair competition by eliminating negotiation, and they left anyway. So, what? What's the upside here?
I can give you 1,000 examples.
And they left anyways. See, they left anyway. That's the big point.
We gave the semiconductor industry 50 some odd billion dollars under Biden. That was the CHIPS Act. And all the Democrats are like, he's FDR 2.0. I'm like, guys, that's a $50 billion corporate subsidy. Okay. And did we put any guardrails in? So did we say, hey, Intel, here's at least 8 of the 50 billion going straight to you? I think it might have been 12 in that ballpark. So now, as condition to that, you're supposed to build here in America, so you can't fire any Americans. If you fire any Americans, then obviously we're not going to give you the money, because the ostensible reason for us giving you the money is to build a semiconductor industry here in America.
Exactly.
Right? Intel fired 8,000 people right after the bill passed because there's no guardrails. Because why? Intel wrote the bill.
8,000 Americans?
8,000 Americans, of course, immediately. They fired them immediately. It's a joke. The whole thing's a joke. None of the politicians mean it, and the people that allow them to get away with all of this. So all of that is the robbery, right? Mainstream media is the getaway car. Okay, so they come in and they make excuses. Oh, FDR 2.0. It's brilliant to give away your money to the semiconductor industry. It's brilliant to give it away to Big Pharma and to Israel. And if anybody objects, they're conspiracy theorists and anti-Semites, et cetera. Their job is not to cover the news, it's to cover up the news. So, I mean, again, look at
that is literally true.
I'm just noticing that they're just going on the same things over and over almost, But this is why I was sort of hesitant to kind of watch this to begin with. And the fakeness of it, like Tucker Carlson, I mean, he might be correct, but I can tell that his reactions are not sincere 100%. He's just like, oh, this is true. This is okay. We know. Like, why don't you be more sincere and and be like an actual person? Why don't you guys be more real than this, please? I'm dying out of fakeness out here. It's so dry on this side.
Yeah. So Obama ran a campaign ad called Billy back in 2008, and it was about the deal to not negotiate drug prices. It was outrageous. Everyone hated it. A Democrat named Billy Tauzin had negotiated it in Congress. That's why the ad was called Billy. And Obama was saying, "I'm not going to be like those Democrats." Right?
Yeah.
He got in, said, "We're not negotiating drug prices." Trump said, "We're going to negotiate drug prices." Not going to negotiate drug
So
prices.
I knew Billy Tauzin really well, for a wonderful guy from Shack Bay, Louisiana. Just a really charming guy. I used to hunt with him a lot, and I always loved him, still do. But he went from Congress to what? Do you know what his next job was?
Lobbyist,
Head of
Big Pharma.
exactly. He was the head pharma lobbyist.
And that's my point, Tucker.
I'm not attacking him, but that happened. I was there.
Yeah.
I mean, like what?
So mainstream media looks at that and goes, "No, I don't see it.
I don't see it.
I don't." Big Pharma gives more, like 4 times more than the Israeli lobby does, and they're like, "No, I don't see it." I'm like, "Isn't the adage follow the money?" Like, so here is an industry giving billions of dollars to politicians. That's a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
5,000 at a time, right? And then to super PACs, et cetera. They seem like they're bribing almost all of Congress. Nope. Conspiracy theory. I had a
Because they're bribing all the media too with drug ads.
Of course, that's their number one advertisers are drug companies. Number 2 advertisers, by the way, are politicians. Why do they always say that politicians are honest and they're having real debates? Because politicians are actually their top clients. So when you spend $17 billion in money in politics, where does it go? It goes almost all to establishment media to buy ads. So the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are the best clients that CNN, New York Times have. So they are always talking about how great the Republican and Democratic parties are, how terrible primaries are. Primaries use up that money. We didn't get all those bribes to spend it in a primary. We got it to have a fake fight in the general election where you pick the lesser of 2 evils. Ha ha, we got you. So that's that's the Rosetta Stone, money in politics. Once you see that, you see how politics works, and you also see how media works, which then leads us back to Israel. So we say, guys, they have contributed. Guardian did a piece on this. The Israeli lobby has contributed to 94% of Congress. Okay, first, do you think they did that for their health, for the general welfare, or do you think that every group they have is named after Israel because the whole point is to support Israel, right? That's not a complicated question. It's the American Israeli Political Action Committee. It's got Israel. One of the groups is called Democratic Majority for Israel. They ran $4 million worth of ads against Nina Turner, which is one of Bernie Sanders' campaign chairs, to make sure that she was defeated by Chantel Brown. Chantel Brown was one of 11 people running against Nina Turner, had almost no ratings at all. Nina had a 35-point lead. She was running against the Lilliputians. Chantel Brown puts a statement on her website saying how much she loves Israel. Boom, $4 million appears. All in favor of Chantel Brown, all against Nina Turner. That's her raising her hand saying, I will work for Israel.
And what happened in the end?
So they erased a 35-point lead. They bought every ad in Cleveland. And most importantly, they got mainstream media to say, now remember, Nina Turner hates Joe Biden, so she loves Donald Trump. Now that's Cleveland voters. They
The trickery is insane.
don't want that, right? Now, is that true? No. She has said a statement that voting for Biden is like eating a half bowl of shit. But, okay, but she said, but voting for Trump is like eating a full bowl of shit. So what am I going to do? I'll eat the half, right? They never, ever put the second half of the statement in. They just said in every news story, whether it's on TV or in the newspapers, Nina Turner says voting for Biden is eating a half bowl of shit. She's so a Trump favorite. But how could she be pro-Trump? The rest of the sentence says he's twice as bad. So people in mainstream media are giant liars. They've lied about me all the time. They lie about Republicans, Democrats, but mainly they lie to protect the donor class. So then again, back to Israel, and because it's such a perfect symbol, 94% of Congress. It's not 34%. You had 34%. You can say, yeah, they have a lot of control. That's a lot of money that they're giving to a
Yeah.
third of our Congress. At 64%, you'd say, come on, they have enormous power, if not control. At 94%, it's clearly control. Further part of that Guardian story is 82% of Congress votes basically with Israel every single time. That 82% on average gets 100, just in that last election cycle, let alone all the other ones, $125,000 per member of Congress. Now, establishment media says that's not a bribe. They're just talking to one another. Oh, hey, how you doing? Here's $125,000 so you'll vote for Israel. But it's not for so you'll vote for Israel. It's so you can have a better debate or whatever. And they're like, of course, that's not a bribe, and they don't control those members. Well, how come they vote with Israel every single time? Why don't you follow the money? I thought the old adage of journalism was follow the money. And every time we ask you to follow the money, you call us an anti-Semite. That's really, really weird. That's a super weird thing to
Yeah.
do. Again, Madlib, fill in any.
Again, like I don't want to be this guy, but I feel like they're hammering the same point over and over. We get it. Israel controls a big part of, of the political class. They're hammering. I think maybe this for older people so that they could hear it again and again. Let's see what the comments says. I know that I usually read them after, but I'm just interested. Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin are surely going to be P now. Most expected crossover of the year award goes to. Oh yeah, I'm leaving this comment hoping it helps the algorithm so many people can watch this. Let's see. Let's sort them by the newest one. What's the point talking about Israel if you're not going to talk about? Okay, so this guy is from the younger people. Even if I from Serbia know that most of your founding fathers were Freemasons, yet as a matter of fact, you do owe them. Oh, okay. So this is interesting. Are you an idiot? USA money and ruling belongs to Jews, Christians, and workers at many different levels. Huh. Cenk, welcome to. That guy is from Fed Fuentes. This video should be shown at American schools. I agree. I agree with this comment. Ironically, Cenk gave the wrong definition to gaslighting. I don't know. I love this. Learn history. Muslims are bad. That's why the Crusades. Oh, okay. This is the anti-Muslim Israeli bot. And Jews were bad. That's why Israeli place. Such a stupid comment. Islam also brings us so many good things. Mathematics. Yep, I agree with that. All right, so let's get back to the video.
Any other country. Imagine that Bulgaria was giving to 94% of Congress.
Or Great Britain or Sweden.
Or any
It
country.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And you said, well, it seems like the Bulgarians have 94% of our Congress locked up. How dare you, anti-Bulgarian racist?
Right.
You Bulgarist.
Same point. Same point. Bulgars. Okay, so let's skip the thing where it says the Israeli lobby. Let's go. Do Americans owe Israel? Let's go there.
So why don't we do a poll? And I challenge CNN, New York Times, Gallup, anyone to do this poll. And if none of them accept the challenge, then we'll do the poll. We'll commission the poll, and then we'll see. And then they could verify it if they like. And the poll is, does America owe Israel any more money? Because every pundit on television say, we owe Israel. We owe Israel. They never explain why, right?
People really say that?
All the time. They say, okay, what do you mean, 300 billion? You owed Israel. Of course you should pay them 300 billion. Why did I pay them 21 or 31 billion in the middle of a genocide? You owe Israel. Why do I owe Israel? No one ever explains. No one.
Okay, so Tucker Carlson just kind of goes into the comment like, why? Okay, but are you going to do the poll? We're trying to do a poll, Tucker. We're not trying to ask. We already know the answer why. Why do you pretend to not know the answer? We know why. I mean, something is better than nothing, I guess.
No one ever explains.
I've never heard that. They actually say that out loud? We owe them?
Of course.
For what? Where's the debt from?
Yeah, and so and when I press on every one of these talking points. That's part of why they despise me, right? And I say, okay, help me understand that. Why would we owe Israel? Well, they suffered a Holocaust, the Jewish people. Well, first of all, the Jewish people did, not Israel, right? That's different. Okay, but wait, we rescued them from the Holocaust.
And all those Americans died. A lot of them, hundreds of thousands of Americans died
Wait,
fighting
why
that
do
war.
if we rescued them from the Holocaust, why do we owe them money? It's like none of these talking points make any sense. If you all you
Right.
do is just prick the bubble and people instantly go, oh wait a minute, lift the curtain. So here we
But
rescued.
they'll actually say that?
Yeah. So the Bosnians, right? For example, right? We rescued them from a genocide from the Serbs, right? And I'm proud of that. And I think we did, saved tons and tons of lives. And you can say maybe we shouldn't have interfered. Maybe we should be more isolationist. It's a good debate, but at least we did something demonstrably good there. Okay. Did the Bosnians, after we rescued them from the genocide, come and to say to us, you owe us? No, they said thank you. By the way, you won't find anyone on this planet who loves Americans more than Bosnians. Okay. And so they love America. They appreciate America. Poland lost 5 million.
Oh, I love Bosnians. If you're a Bosnian, I love you. From America. Americans love Bosnians. I love Bosnians. If you love America, I love you. Especially if you're a Bosnian, I love Bosnians.
People in the Holocaust, 1.8 million non-Jews, 3 million Jews. So after the Holocaust, Poland could have said, you owe us. No, we saved Poland. Russia saved Poland. We saved Jews. Russia saved Jews. By the way, did Russia ever get a thank you after losing, 20 million or so people in the war, right? Instead, now Israel's constantly attacking Russia. I got no love for Russia. I think Putin is wrong. I don't think he should have invaded Ukraine. But wait a minute. Why does anybody owe Israel for anything? It doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it doesn't.
No, we
Okay.
don't.
So now
It's the other way around. They owe us a lot. They owe us so much. It's more than I can count. All these tax dollars. I'm trying not to freak out while I'm having like an acid reflex.
they want a new memorandum of understanding. They were going to try to make it 20 years, and partly because of you and us and all the people that are going, wait, why? That a memorandum of understanding is a president saying, we owe you for the next 10 years, 20 years, etc.
And that's an agreement between the United States and Israel.
Yes. So, for example, Obama signed a 10-year memorandum of understanding saying we owe Israel $3.8 billion every year for 10 years.
So no votes on it during that period.
The only votes you get is it gets put automatically into the budget every year. And once it gets put in, you have to actively take it out. But if you have to go to take it out, they'll call you an anti-Semite and try to ruin your career. I have amazing stories about that. Marie Newman, a U.S. Congresswoman, voted against one of the appropriations that Israel got. 4 Democratic colleagues come on the floor of the House and say, how dare you? How dare you vote against Israel?
It sounded like a Greta Thunberg for just a second. Like, how dare you? How dare you mess with our planet or something?
We're going to take away all your money.
Actually?
Yes, you could ask Marie Newman
When did
about it.
this
She said it on
happen?
the Young Turks. This happened just a couple of years ago. Okay, she was in Congress from Illinois. They said, we're going to take away all your money and we're going to spend a ton of money against you.
Her own party?
Yeah, her own party. And that's what happened. They spent about $4 million against her, eliminated.
No way.
Andy Levin, Jewish American.
Why is Tucker pretending that he doesn't know about this? I'm pretty sure that he knows. The guy is pretty well connected. You know, who are you fooling, Tucker? Who are you fooling? Like, we know that you know. Why do you act like that?
American congressman from Michigan, kind of a legendary Jewish family in Michigan.
Yeah.
Carl Levin was a senator.
Yeah, Sandra Levin, yeah.
Yeah. Andy Levin says two-state solution. He says, I love Israel. I'm a Zionist. Okay. But obviously we should have a free and independent Israel and a free and independent Palestine. 4 million against Andy Levin, eliminated.
No way.
Eliminated. Jamal Bowman, you think
He keeps doing that. It's almost a joke. Like, no way. Oh my gosh. You know, like, no way. I never knew that. Wink, wink. Wink, wink. What the hell is that? Tucker's killing me. He's such an actor, man. It's so obvious. It's so fake. Like, is this part of the show? It's like, is this supposed to be more funny than serious?
it was about the fire alarm? Hey, you might be upset about the fire alarm or whatever else Jamal Bowman did. They spent The Israeli lobby spent 19 million eliminating Bowman. Corey Bush eliminated. Okay.
Yeah,
Anyone
that's
who
what happens.
opposes Israel is eliminated.
This
Old
year marks
news.
the 250th
Old news, dude. I'm gonna make a meme out of that. Like just a picture of Tucker Carlson. Like, no way. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I, he's a good person in my book at the moment, but it's just funny, you know. He's keep doing that. Like, no way. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Did you know that? I didn't. No, I didn't know that. What are you talking about? The fakeness kills me,
say,
man.
confess I don't follow the details of Democratic politics closely enough to have heard of any of this. I knew about Jamal Bowman, but the rest I didn't. So I wonder about that strategy, which they're now employing on the right and trying to tarp, slandering people as Nazis or trying to get them killed, which they're doing. But I wonder, like, as a strategy, obviously it's immoral, but does it actually work? Isn't it better to say, as you would in any negotiation, like, here are the things I actually care about. Let's see if we can come to terms, like allow a little bit of flexibility. There's no flexibility allowed.
Well, Tucker, congrats. You have forced Israel into some flexibility almost single handedly.
I don't feel that at all. I feel that because I've
Come on, Tucker. What is up with the it's making me lose brain cells, man. Unless he's trying to be funny.
never been against Israel, and I'm not against Israel now. I'm not against any person, actually. And I'm certainly, as a Christian, totally opposed to hating a group based on its blood. That would include whites, blacks, Hispanics, Turks, and Jews. And I mean that. So whatever, I've really tried to be like, whoa, let's settle this down. It doesn't work. And I just wonder, that doesn't seem like a good strategy. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, just as a negotiating position, it's like you have to have.
Okay, is he being, because I'm seeing him is selling out. I think Tucker he's saying that he's not against Israel. After all of that, he's not against Israel. I think that this is the code word for all the donors to kind of keep him. So it's basically what he is saying, that it's not working out, though we have to have a strategy that works out. We have to have a strategy without hating Israel that works out. What does that tell you about Tucker? You know? I don't know. So we'll see.
Some willingness to move. You can't be that rigid or you're not going to win in the end.
Yeah. So the reason I said that is because, look, first, let's distinguish. There's mainstream media purposely blends all these things together, partly because Israel wants to use Jewish Americans as human shields. They want to say, if you're attacking us, you're attacking Jewish Americans. And so you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to, right? But in reality, there's Jews as people / Jewish Americans. Then there's how you feel about Israel. Then there's how you feel about the Israeli government, right? We are talking about the current Israeli government. And they say, no, you're talking about Jews, because they want to hide behind that, right? When we keep saying, no, not the Jews, and they're like, no, the Jews, we're like, stop saying the Jews. It's not the Jews.
Well, moreover, I get to define what I think and what I'm talking about. And let me repeat myself. I think anti-Semitism is immoral and I won't engage in it ever, period. So I get to decide, because I'm a sovereign man.
Like, he sounded gay for just like a second there. I'm not gonna participate in. And this is the thing. I'm not even against him, you know. But he just sounds so gay there. Like, I'm not gonna ever participate in anti-Semitism. Period. I am never gonna be participating in anti-Semitism. Oh my god, so theatrical, so gay sounding. It's insane. Why does he sound so gay? Again, is this supposed to be like funny show? Is this a prank? Is this a very elaborate prank?
What I think, and I can try to express it as well as I can. No one has a right to tell you what you think.
Yeah, it's really obnoxious to the.
Well, it's Orwellian. It's like
even Cenk is like smiling, and he's not smiling at them. He's smiling at his very exaggerated facial expression. Like, this is Orwellian, don't you think? Don't you think this is Orwellian? I mean, this thing, he's not wrong, but it's theatrics. The way that he's talking about it is funny, you know?
Are you in charge of my soul?
Yeah.
I don't think you are.
So, for example, I'm an atheist. So, what does that mean? That means I think all humans are pretty much the same genetically, right? I'm stone cold. So, if
Stone
you
Cold
told me
Austin.
a Jewish, a Muslim, a Christian, a Hindu is
Stone Cold
different,
Austin.
I'm philosophically opposed to that. I'm ideologically opposed to that. I'm scientifically opposed to that. I just think
All
it's
right,
wrong.
everybody is opposed to hating, we get it, we get it, we get it. Everybody is opposed to hating them. We're not supposed to hate them. We're not hating them. We're not hating them. Like, we get it. Like, what is with the pandering? What is with the, like, licking boots, I don't get it.
Wrong. It's not.
Yes.
It's incorrect, factually incorrect. So that is a distraction, and they've now weaponized the term anti-Semitism, which also does a lot of damage. Because when real anti-Semitism comes,
It's true
people will
about that.
think,
It's
"Oh,
right.
those are the heroes fighting against the genocide," right? That's what
true.
I was
But
told.
it also scares people. I mean, I've experienced this a lot in my personal life where people I know and love have been convinced that I'm, Nazi or Nazi adjacent or hate Jews or whatever, and that I'm trying to hurt people, which is literally the opposite of what I
Wow.
would ever want to do. I don't agree with that at all. And I say that constantly, but they've whipped people into a frenzy, preying upon their deepest fears. And there are many victims of that kind of evil, but one of the victims is the people who are being terrified. Like
100%.
people are terrified.
I think actually the number one target of Israeli propaganda is Jewish Americans.
Oh, of course.
They say,
course.
"Oh, if it's not for Israel, the whole world hates you,
Of course.
and you're all gonna die. You're all gonna die. Everyone hates you,
And it's an
your only
unreasonable
protection
hate.
is Israel."
It's a hate that can't be even reasoned with or discussed. You don't have to know anything about why people disagree. It's hate. It's fundamentally irrational, and it will never end. And until they kill you or you kill them, it's like, whoa, that is a very heavy thing. First of all, it's untrue. Second, you're inspiring violence by talking like that. I mean, the only endpoint of that kind of thinking is violence. It can only be solved by violence. Kill or
Right.
be killed. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, and so again, Mad Lib it, say, okay, let's say that you oppose something the Turkish government did, which I hope you do because they've done plenty of bad things. I oppose a bunch of things that the Turkish government has done. If after you
I just don't like Turks. That's my problem.
But I mean, that's the point, right?
Yeah.
If you said, "Hey, I don't think the Turks should have gone into northern Syria," and I say anti-Turkish racist, you'd be like, "What? What
Yeah.
kind of lunatic are you?" Right? That's not a thing. That doesn't, just because you disagree with the actions of a government at this time doesn't mean that you hate Turks in perpetuity forever and ever. You hated them before, you hate them after. No, I just don't agree. Look, I didn't agree with the Iraq war. Does that mean I hate Americans? No, it means I don't agree with that government action taken at that
Of
time.
course.
And all of that is very logical until you get to Israel, and then they flip it on its head.
But can you see how irrational and fear-based the conversation is becoming, and the cost to American society, not even having anything to do with Israel, but just that way of thinking is a scary way of thinking. First of all, it's identity politics in its purest form. This group versus that group. This group has special rights. This group has fewer rights. I mean, this is everything that I hate and I disagree with as a Christian. But can you see the cost to the whole society because of
it's an
this?
enormous cost. So,
Making people hate each other.
yeah, look, I'll go back to the stats on how awful the genocide was and all of that. But to me, at least as bad is the control over this country. Okay. And I came here to be free, and I came here for American sovereignty.
How old were you when you came?
8 years old. My family came here because my dad is an enormous believer in America. Like,
Yes.
you won't find a family who loves America more than we do, right?
Yes.
And by the way, he had that belief and faith, and it was met. We came here, and that faith was true. That hope was delivered. And we have lived amazing lives in this country because of the opportunity and the hope that this country provided.
Yes.
And by the way, our answer to that is thank you.
It sounds so feminine. They're like, yes. Like, just look at his face. Yes. And this, I'm not, like, this part, I don't disagree with them. It's just the fakeness of it. It's killing me. It's like, yes. Oh, yeah. It almost looks like he's having an orgasm. Am I even allowed to say that word? Um. Yeah. I don't know. It's just funny, man. It's just funny. They're very funny people. They're very funny people. That's what they are.
Amen. I feel that way. I feel
Yeah.
grateful.
Yeah,
Amen.
I'm enormously grateful to America.
Yeah.
And by the way, when
Yeah.
America
Yeah.
helps you, the correct answer is thank you, not
Right.
you owe me.
Right. I agree.
Okay, give me
And
more.
and this is also I agree with Cenk 100% here. When America helps you, the answer is thank you. That's what I do. That's what all good Americans do. Look, you try to get help, you get help, you say thank you. That's what you do. You say thank you. You say thank you, not, you owe me. I'm just saying.
More. That's not the correct answer.
Right.
And it's not taken as a correct answer from any other country. But when it comes to Israel and they say, no, give me more, right? We were supposed to
Give me
say,
more.
oh, thank you, sir. No, I don't want to say thank you.
You have
sir.
children. How would you respond to your children if they said that to you?
Oh, that would be a mistake for them. Yes.
Oh, you can't.
And there
you
would be
can't-
consequences.
You can't. Oh, yeah. You can't put up with that. Not for 1 second. You degrade yourself. You hurt the person you're dealing with because you inspire more of that behavior, which is totally bad behavior. Yeah, it's so unhealthy. I mean, how do we get into this?
Yeah, let me give you 2 examples about how they are taking our freedom away. Okay, so a friend of mine runs a company in LA. He gets an email from what looks like probably a bot, but it could be an Israeli troll, whatever it is. But somebody writing in saying, "We found out that one of your American workers is an anti-Semite, and you should fire her." He's like, "Really? Oh, I didn't know that. What did she do? Did she attack someone? Did she say something outrageous?" And he finds out that she had put up a Palestinian flag during the genocide in support of, like, hey, I'm against the genocide, these poor people, on her Facebook account. That's it. Nothing against
You're
Israel.
allowed to have that view. You can support the Palestinians. You can support Hamas. You can support whatever you want as an American.
But she's not supporting Hamas.
I get it. But
Yeah.
let's just remind ourselves that we have a full range of intellectual freedom because of the First Amendment and because God gave us those rights, not any administration.
The thing is, like, I would not trust Tucker on this. I feel like this cements it for me. I think Tucker is a Fed. He's a Fed. He just pulls people in. He wants to see which people would say the stuff that he wants people to say, so that they could be found and persecuted. Never agree with Tucker on stuff like that. He when it pulls you in, and then before that, you know it. They label you with the T word, and that's it. You're a T word now. It's like, oh, you're allowed to say all and do all these things. It's part of your freedom. Yeah, right.
So, like, you cannot allow infringement on those rights.
She doesn't even say anything against Israel, let alone Jews. She just says, just has the Palestinian flag. They're like, that's just an average American. It's not Tucker Carlson. It's not Cenk Uygur. She doesn't have a show. She's just a random American. Now, all of a sudden, the Israelis are emailing your boss and saying, if they dare even support the Palestinians, treat them as humans, they're anti-Semites and they should be fired. No, that's oppression. That's oppression, and it's against the average American. I can't stand it. Okay, so you and I get
Certainly
attacked.
is oppression.
Yeah,
It's exactly what it
nonstop.
is.
But I get it. We're in the media. We're in wars, right? These information wars,
Yeah.
these media wars, etc. But leave average Americans out of it,
Of
and
course.
they won't tolerate it. They won't tolerate any dissent at all.
What is that?
Because so you know why, Tucker? It's worked for them. So now that leads to the second example, Barry Weiss, right? So Barry Weiss claims she's like, remember when she was at the New York Times, she's fighting against cancel culture. Our college campuses have been taken over by cancel culture.
Well, she promoted cancel culture when she was on the campus of her college, Columbia, when she pushed for anyone who was against Israel to be silenced. I mean, she's always been for cancel culture.
Exactly. So she actually started her career as a student who went around saying, I'm proudly Zionist, and I'm going to try to take out Arab and Muslim professors who don't toe the line for Israel. So she got famous doing cancel culture on college campuses.
Oh, I remember very well.
Then she pretends in the middle of her career that she's against cancel culture, specifically on college campuses. I mean, the lie is so brazen, right? And then she goes to Free Press and then starts cancel culture again on college campuses. They spoke out against Israel. They should be fired. They should be arrested.
Oh, yeah.
It's wait.
I'm a dangerous Nazi.
Yeah. Wait. You're talking about arresting Americans for disagreeing with another government, with another country. I mean, if you're not bothered by that, then you have a servant mindset, right?
Yes.
These folks obviously have 94% of Congress. They obviously pro-Israel factions have almost all of establishment media. We can come back to why, okay? And I'm okay with it. I will serve them. Well, I'm not okay
I 100% agree with Cenk here. He's 100% right. He's 100% correct.
with it. I don't want to bow. I love that America's free. We came for that freedom, and that freedom is delivered for us. But I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give it away to anyone. If I wanted to give away my freedom, I would have stayed in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Okay. I came here for the promise of America. Our family did. So, and you know, among Muslim Americans, there is no group. I was born Muslim. I'm atheist now. Okay. So at 22, I went through the religions. It wasn't for me. Okay. But am I going to defend my family and my background? Sure, I am, of course, right? But ideologically, I'm atheist. So this country had room for me, and this country didn't ask, "Are you Muslim? Are you atheist? Are you this? Are you that?" It gave me the same rights as anyone else, and I love that. And I'm pretty sure. I mean, Erdogan's taking away democracy in Turkey, in my opinion.
Yes.
And he's done some good foreign policy, but his domestic policy, I'm against. Okay. If I stayed in Turkey, I would almost certainly be in prison at this point, right? And here I'm not in prison.
No.
And if you turn America into an occupied nation, that's not what we came for. That's not what, I mean, that is against the core of what America is. And if they're paying 94% of Congress, we're occupied.
Yes.
We are. And it's not just Israel. We're occupied by big pharma and big oil and the defense contractors. But all those politicians represent those people and not us. I would love, my driving goal is regain American sovereignty. And when I go to talk to Muslim groups, they say, look, now all of a sudden they're very open to the right wing. Why are they open to the right wing? Because you, Candace, Megan, and others are saying, hey, maybe we got fed a lot of propaganda to hate Muslims because they happen to be Israel's enemies.
Well, of course.
And so maybe all that media about how they're terrorists, and you look at it and you go, wait, and we were taught by books that Robert Maxwell bought that Israel was attacked in 1948. Israel was attacked in 1967.
I'm just noticing. So when he says Robert Maxwell, I wanted to see Tucker's reaction there. I wanted to see if he would laugh or not, because I feel like Tucker is a P word, is a Pussy. You know, he does not reveal on these sensitive topics and issues. He does not want to even seem to be reacting to them. So when Robert Maxwell, the father of Ghislaine Maxwell, he had a book that been indoctrinating us, right? I wanted to see Tucker's reaction to when Cenk brought that up, and I didn't get this. I don't like that. I want to see his reaction. He needs to take a side. He cannot be just weasel his thing, weasel himself out of everything.
Always the victim. And then you look, you go, wait a minute, 1967, Israel attacked. I was lied to. No, Israel attacked all of its neighbors and destroyed their air forces before they even got up off the ground, right? And they called that a preemptive strike. So that became the new self-defense is offense. And what did we do in Iraq? Preemptive strike. We went into Iraq, and they could have weapons of mass destruction. By the way, where did we get that false intelligence? Israel. At the time, Ariel Sharon was saying Iraq is Israel's number one enemy. Iraq at the time, by the way, hated Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda attacked us.
Right. Of course, it was a Ba'athist government. It was secular. They had tons of Christians in the government.
See, this is the thing. I hate the Ba'ath. They were so bad, and I've been affected a lot by them. They're so bad, but this is the thing. They have been helped by the American government. So, and then, yeah, the whole thing has been just so messy, and a lot of people that made a lot of anger about America. See, and the American government especially. People over there. I've never met any person who hate the American people, but most of them hate the American government because their decisions killed millions of people there and destroyed the lives of so many more. And those people are not dumb. They know what's going on. You can look at Cenk per se. You can look at me. I know what's freaking going on. It's just that we're discovering this as, from the heart of it, which is in America. And yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, not only that, Al Qaeda constantly attacked the local rulers.
Right.
So if Saddam ever caught Al Qaeda, he executed him on the spot, right? So in a sense, he's an ally of sorts in that case against Al Qaeda.
And a counterbalance to Iran,
Yeah.
which had held our hostages for over a year in 1979. So it's like that was in no sense consistent with our interests. Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11 at all, despite the many, many lies. I knew people who told those lies.
It's so funny that they don't care about the Iraqi people. So Cenk here, I don't like the fact that he's like, oh, Saddam is, he's an ally of some sort. Oh, really? Like, you don't care about all the people there? You don't care about all the people who, I mean, he genocided the Kurds. I'm just saying, and he genocided a lot of people there. You know.
It's really, really, Steve Hayes wrote a whole book about it. It was a lie. No one's ever apologized. But those lies all served one imperative, which is fight Israel's enemies. I was there, so I know that that's true, and everyone knows that that's true. And you're now required to
Whoop.
served one imperative, which is fight Israel's enemies. I was there, so I know that that's true, and everyone knows that that's true. And you're now required to lie about it. It was just a mistake. It was not a mistake at all. It was totally intentional.
Yeah. And so when I give speeches to those Muslim groups and I talk about American sovereignty, that's when I get the biggest applause. Because who is the victim of another government meddling in the American government the most? Muslim Americans are.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
there's
Yeah.
no equivalent. For any money that the Gulf countries or anything else puts into America, it doesn't get any power at all.
Okay, so but the Turks, this is interesting because you were born in Turkey. You came here at 8. Your co-host on your show, or someone on your show, Anna Kasparian, is just a wonderful person, I think, but is Armenian. So one of the most famous feuds in history, one of the most famous genocides, was the Armenian genocide right during the First World War. And here you are, good friends, and work together every day. And that, to me, is a huge part of the promise of America. You can leave your tribal wars in the countries of origin and come here and interact as equals under the American flag as citizens. Like, that is truly
Should be.
the vision. I think
Right.
everyone, we imported tons of Irish in the 1840s into an Anglo country. They didn't eat each other. Those countries had hated each other for centuries, but they all came here and pretty much got along, sort of. Watching the Israelis import, which they are doing, and there are many proxies in the U.S., importing their ancient tribal conflicts into my country, telling me that as an Anglo multi-century American, my family, that I have to hate Muslims? Or it's like, first of all, I'll decide who I hate, not you. It's not up to you who I hate. You're not in charge of me.
Right.
And second, like, that's your battle. Why don't you keep it in the Levant? Like, I don't want anything to do with that, right?
Yeah.
But now it completely dominates. You hate Muslims. It's like, first of all, I believe in Jesus. I'm not a Muslim, but I like a lot of Muslims, and I'm never going to say I don't.
And isn't that funny that they're like, if you don't agree to everything the Israeli government does, then you hate Jews. But if you don't,
I don't hate Jews, and I don't hate Muslims, and I don't want any part of their fight. I mean,
But-
why would I?
But wait, Tucker. Then they go on to the second part of the sentence. So like, if you disagree with Israel, you're a bigot. Then they say you have to hate Muslims. But wait a minute, I thought you were against bigotry. So you're not against bigotry.
So how
You're
is hate
right.
all Muslims any different from hate all Jews? Well, it's not.
It's not.
It's not, right? It's the same. But these, you have people who don't believe in universal principles, and that's kind of the core problem. It's like only certain types of hate are bad. Only certain kinds of bigotry are bad. No. If bigotry is bad, it's always bad, because all people are created by God and they're inherently equal. They may have different abilities. They do have different abilities, but they have equal value. And if you don't believe that, which Barry Weiss doesn't, then you can with a straight face say anti-Semitism is wrong. I agree with you, Barry Weiss.
I have heard this argument over and over, so this is not the first time I'm hearing this. I wonder if I can skip this part. So, Israel memorandum. I wonder what is that about.
So back to the memorandum of understanding. Why?
Sorry, I'm a digressor.
No,
Cenk.
I'm doing the same thing. Well, so they say 20-year. The new one we want is a 20-year memorandum of understanding. So we have to give you a 20-year contract, and they say the $4 billion that we're giving them currently per year, on top of everything else, is not enough. And they started talking about $5 billion. So wait a minute now, $5 billion, 20 years. We're talking about another $100 billion we're going to borrow from China to give to Israel, and then pay interest the rest of our lives.
And this is exclusive of, this does not include military obligations. So if there's another war, of course, we'll backstop it with missile defense or whatever, carriers in the region, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't even include that.
Yeah. So, but because they got so much pushback, this is the first time I've ever seen the Israelis give an inch. All of a sudden, Netanyahu comes and goes, maybe 10 years. Maybe we taper it off, right? It's total bullshit.
Maybe go away and never come back.
Yeah. How about that? So, look, I started a site, notanother.com. Okay. Notanother.com.
Is that a hate site?
They will call it that. So what we're saying is, look, two things. One is, number one, if a congressperson.
So Cenk is talking about all the things that all the action stuff that he's doing, and Tucker is like diverting from that, like, oh, he's funny, blah blah blah, throwing jokes. But why don't Tucker actually advertise and help out in this? Why doesn't he create his own? We talked about the poll, and now this website. Cenk is taking action. Why does not Tucker take any action?
Takes money from Israel, vote against them. Okay. Now, why? Because we want our representatives to be our representatives. It's not an outrageous ask, it's a bare minimum ask, right? And happy to apply to any country. Okay. But right now, Israel's the one giving to 94% of Congress. So there has to be some consequences.
I agree.
And so since we're peaceful and nonviolent, and by the way, again, violence destroys any movement. That is why a lot of times counterinsurgencies start the violence.
Of course.
Right.
Always.
So that they could destroy. So if anyone.
There's nothing more real than false flags.
Yes.
Just a fact. It's been a feature of warfare, hot and cold, from the beginning of history.
So if anyone proposes violence, they're on the other side. Okay. Reject them, turn them into the authorities. Okay. Zero violence so they cannot destroy the movement. Okay. And because it's the right thing to do, and it's the moral position. Right. So what we're saying is, I also have operationconsequences.com. It goes to the same thing. So what are the consequences? Not violent, not hatred, not anything. Just
right, I agree.
If you vote with Israel.
100% agree. No violence here. No violence at all. We just want action, not violence. Action, non-violent action. Economically speak out. Stuff like that.
Israel to give them another $1, we're going to vote against you. And you know what? You don't have to cross party lines. That's what primaries are for.
Yeah.
So if you're a Republican, you never have to vote for a Democrat. If you're a Democrat, you never have to vote for a Republican. Go into the primaries, and we're going to make two lists. One is, are you taking money from Israel? Okay, and that list already exists. You have AIPAC tracker, et cetera. We'll put it up on the site so you can see, oh, these guys are taking money and these guys aren't. So when you see Tom Massey and he takes no money from AIPAC or any of the Israeli lobbies, you go, I might agree or disagree with Tom Massey, but at least I know he's honest and he represents us and not a different government. Okay. And the second thing we're saying is, did you give money to Israel? Or did you take money from Israel? And did you give money to Israel? So forget the past, because they all gave money in the past. Okay. We're fair, clean slate. But going forward, you vote one more time for another $1 to Israel, and you're never going to get our vote, ever. It's a solemn pledge. Okay. Now you could sign pledges on notanother.com or operationconsequence.com, but it doesn't matter. Create your own website, create your own pledge, create your own movement, or join the movement. Say, hey, you know what? I don't want to go to those sites. I want to do it on my show. Great. I love it. Right. I want to do it in a right-wing way. Great. I love it. Left-wing way. Great. I love it. Okay. But you've got to get the representatives some consequences.
It sounds like democracy.
Exactly. That's all it is. That's all it is.
So just inject the views of the people who own the government into the conversation about what the government should do.
Yeah. Okay. So if you, for example, if you do that poll, does America owe Israel any more money? My guess is an overwhelming majority are going to say no.
How would you get that poll? How would you get? I mean, do you think you could get CNN to take that poll?
Well, if they say that no, we're not going to ask Americans that, then They obviously have an agenda. They claim to be objective, right?
CNN
Right.
claims to objective.
They're still
I
pretending
worked there
that.
for many years. Not objective.
Right. New York Times very much pretends to be objective. All right, then ask the question: does America owe Israel any more money? Okay. Now, if you say maybe we're wrong, Tucker, right? Maybe the Americans come in and go 80% of Americans say yes, we owe Israel more money. Then we'll stand corrected and we'll go, oh, our bad. Americans can't wait to give more money to Israel, no matter what the circumstances are. But wait, if it turns out 68%, 82%, some significant majority of Americans say, no, we don't owe them any more money. Now, does the voice of the American people matter or does it not matter? And you know what the answer is. And that's why they won't do the poll. And that's why we'll do it for them. That's okay, right? Look,
And this guy, I stand 100% behind what he is doing. Maybe I will make a video to react to his website. So I'm in Ohio. I'm not sure when would I vote or but we will speak about it. Maybe I'll make a video about it.
right now, 92% of Democrats say that what Israel did in Gaza was wrong. And that was before the election. And both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris said, I don't care about my voters. I don't care about 92% of my voters. They couldn't have been any clearer. I'm going to serve Israel instead. Now, number one donor lifetime to Joe Biden is AIPAC. AIPAC gave
Is
Kamala
that
Harris,
true?
yes, over $11 million throughout his career. The Israeli lobby totally financed. Now, it's
11 million just to Joe Biden?
just to Joe Biden. Okay. And that,
Wow,
again,
I would have thought it was Citibank or the credit card companies.
so
Wow.
he was known as the senator from MBNA, which is a
Right.
credit card company
Yeah.
in Delaware. So he was literally known for corruption. Now, did you hear that in mainstream media from Objective
No,
CNN?
they gave his son a house. Right. I mean, it was pretty open. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Joe Biden's trademark thing in Washington was do whatever the donors tell you. That's why the one promise he kept was to the donors. Remember, he said to them, nothing will fundamentally change. Because if you're at the top, you don't want anything to change
Right.
because then you might slip from the top. If you're at the top, you love the status quo. So you want a politician coming in telling you nothing will fundamentally.
So here's one question that I have that I don't have the answer to. So I understand that that's all consistent with the darker parts of human nature. I'm winning. I don't want anything to change. I get it. I don't even judge it. But the rest of the country is withering and dying, and that's measurable in life expectancy, for example. There's no way to argue that this is helping normal people, and they're not staying the same. They're going down by every measure. They're down to their personal health. Why are the people who run the country, our ruling class, like it's not enough that they profit? It does feel like they're trying to hurt the people they rule. I've reached that conclusion. What is that?
So I'm most angry at our politicians, and I'm going to give you an analogy about that in a second. So Israel, Pharma, they're going to logically try to rob us.
Of course, I get it.
Right,
Like,
I get
the
it.
king takes most for himself, but he also wants to make his people not die earlier. But they do want us to die earlier. What is that?
But it's yeah, so it's largely our representatives' fault. So I talked about Biden. Kamala took $5 million from AIPAC. Talked about that. Let's talk about Trump. So Trump in the first election in 2016 takes $100 million from Sheldon Adelson. Okay, so does Sheldon get something in return? Of course he does, right? So he got a great number of things.
Yeah.
Corruption charge largely went away with a small fine. The estate tax was dropped right in the nick of time before he passed away, saved them billions of dollars. You know where the Adelsons make most of their money?
Gambling.
In China.
Yep.
Okay.
Macau.
So, in Macau. So they're mainly a Chinese company, and they had to bring their money back from China to America. So they got a tax holiday. We don't get tax holidays, but they get tax holidays. And so the repatriation tax was brought down to about 8%. So instead of paying 35%, they paid 8%, which saved them billions of dollars. So then they take that money from China, bring it back to America. They give 100 to Trump. He runs again. They give another 100. He runs again. This time it's Miriam Adelson. Sheldon's passed away. His wife, Miriam, gives 137 to Trump. So now collectively they've given $337 million to Donald Trump's re-election canvas. So now, one of the things they wanted was taxes and other interests and defeat the unions and their casinos and all the things their wish list. But the main thing they wanted was for Israel. And Trump says it
All of these details are so amazing. But yeah, so for a younger person who's from my background, it's not as easy to keep up with all of this new information. I feel like it would need me time to even process that. I might not be able to process it because I'm so far away, so isolated. I'm immersed in a totally different place right now. So I know that they're all corrupt. We know that IPAC is paying them. All of these details, it's hard for me to retain. Maybe it's easier for them and for people who, wants to know what to do about that exactly. So, and I do applaud them. Cenk, I mean, I like Cenk. So, I didn't know that I like Cenk this much, but I guess I like him a little bit more than Tucker. Tucker has been more on the fake side of things. He just fake laughs, he fake smiles. He's, feminizing his own voice, and he's not taking any action, any tangible. I mean, he's making these interviews, which is very good. It is applauded, but you need more. So Cenk is doing that, and he's doing more. So Cenk is doing his due diligence as an American, and I just wish that Tucker would be more like that. I wish all of us would be more like Cenk.
all the time. He doesn't hide it at all. He says,
He said it in the Knesset.
yeah. He said, look, you guys give me money, and and Sheldon wanted me to move our embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, so I moved it for him. Like, you're not supposed to say that, okay?
That's
But
what I love about Trump. I love it when he just says it.
yeah, so he's like, and then so they wanted this, and I gave him the Golan Heights. I said, go ahead, take it, right? And whatever Israel asked, and he said Sheldon came in here in my first term more than any other person. And he said, to be fair, he gave the most, right? So if you give that much money, you get access and you get American policy. So now Miriam's up there going, maybe you should run for a third term, and I'll give him $250 million. She said that on air next to Trump. So that is them rubbing it in our face, saying,
So that's the part I don't understand. Like every country has a ruling class that derives the most benefit from whatever system is they're running, but it's the pretty undisguised hatred for Americans. Like, why the humiliation rituals? Why say that in public? Why basically give the entire country?
So I don't think it's like a magic. When people say humiliation rituals, what comes into your mind is some part of like an ancient scripture or something like that. I think it's more practical than that. I think that it's exposure therapy. When you expose, somebody to, when you expose somebody to something way too many times, you make them used to it. You see, so let's say that you don't like to be disrespected, so I just disrespect you a very very tiny bit, that you would shrug that off, right? And I would do it 10 times, 20 times, until that you become fine with that, and then I will increase a little bit the amount of disrespect, and the same thing I will do it 10 is to boil frogs slowly in the water, that they don't know that they're being boiled. I'm cranking up the disrespect, the humiliation, very slowly and in a very specific way that you're not feeling it until you find yourself a total slave. Totally, totally, 100% a slave, mentally and physically and financially and everything, right? But you were reaching that in a very articulate, a very calculated way. I don't think we're going to be reaching that. I think that they're going to fail, but I just wanted to explain why they do these so-called humiliation rituals.
The finger. You have no control. If you step out of line, we'll send the police to your door. Like, you don't need to behave that way.
yeah, this is relatively new.
There's hatred in there. That's how you behave toward people you really want to hurt.
Before they were more subtle about it. Right?
Yeah, that's why I never said anything. I wasn't fully aware of it, but also it's like it's working. It's whatever. I don't want to get involved in this. But all of a sudden, it's like, you're not allowed to live in the country that you were born in because you disagree with a foreign country. It's like, you don't need. Why are you talking to me like that? Who do you think you are? What are you doing?
So since they're starting to lose control now, back to the American people overall, This was about 6 months ago. The numbers are probably starker now, but 60% of Americans said we don't want to support what Israel's doing with financing anymore.
60%?
60% for Gaza. Okay.
Wow.
They said we are not backing what Israel's doing, and only 32% said yes. So 2-1. Very, very, very clear. The American people 2-1. Don't give Israel any more money to kill more people in Gaza. Don't do it. And all of our politicians, Democrats and Republicans, are like, no, we're going to give them more money. We don't care. Shut up, American people. So why are they switching to this new harsher tactic? Because I think they're going for intimidation. They've already lost the people. They've lost the propaganda wars. So they're just going for bullying.
Well, they don't intimidate me. And I'm totally happy to pay any price not to go along with this, not because I hate Jews. I certainly don't hate Jews, but because I love my country and we have the right to act in our own interest and to say what we truly believe. And I will never bow to any other system voluntarily. And I feel like a lot of Americans, clearly you feel that way.
100%. America was not made for bowing. Okay. So
Not to things that hurt my family. I'm happy to bow before God. I'm not too arrogant to bow, but I'm not going to bow to something that hurts my children. Like, I'm not going to do that.
And today, no, they're not going to take our freedom away. So back to your point about the humiliation rituals, then
why do that?
It gets way worse. In case you don't know,
He's pretending that he doesn't know. I'm pretty sure that he knows. Tucker Carlson is way smarter than that. He knows. He's just like pretending that, oh, I don't really know. Or why are they doing that? Like, come on, Tucker.
This for the folks at home. The Adelsons then lobbied Trump to get Jonathan Pollard back to Israel. Okay, so Jonathan Pollard's a traitor. I mean, as big a traitor as we have ever had in this country.
Okay. And a true hater of America. Says it out loud all the time.
Yeah. And he goes further. He endangers Jewish people by saying, if you're a Jew in America, you should work for Israel like I did and betray America. He says that. Okay. So now this is as despicable anti-American character as you will find on planet Earth. So not only did they lobby to get him back to Israel, first of all, he should never have been let out of jail. Ever.
What did the Israelis do with the with the Navy secrets that he gave them? Do you know? They gave them to the Soviet Union. They gave them to the Soviet Union in exchange for refuseniks. I remember this. I know people were involved in it. And yeah, our top ally gave our national security secrets. This is in the middle of the Cold War. It's not a joke. These countries have nuclear weapons pointed at each other. And Israel gave those secrets to the Soviets.
Oh, wow.
So that's just a fact.
Yikes.
Oh, you're lying. I'm not lying.
Yeah. And in this case, not only, so they've been lobbying Democrats and Republicans to get Jonathan Pollard out of jail because he delivered for Israel. And so they got Obama to pardon him, and not pardon him, but like say, okay, he can get out of jail. Then they got Trump to say he can leave the country. Okay, so this is all already disastrous. But just to rub it in a little bit more, he was flown back to Israel on a private jet owned by Sheldon Adelson. That's the Adelsons saying, F you. We work for Israel, not for America. We're going to take the worst traitor you've ever had and celebrate him.
It's intentional.
We're going to give him a hero's
exposure therapy. You know, they want to expose you to it, and so you don't do anything about it. And then they repeat that so many times that you're so complacent that you're not going to do anything about it.
Welcome.
I don't understand that. That is not in my personal range of like emotions. That's like, you won, got it. Okay, great. You know, you're getting what you want. Okay. But that's like if you're playing tennis with someone and you crush them in tennis, rather than going up and shake hands, you know, good game. That's what I was forced to do as a child. You leap across that and like beat him to death with a racket. I like, what is that impulse? I think it's the scariest thing I've ever seen.
They're going for full intimidation. Right.
But why?
Because they lost the American people. We're gone. So look, Tucker, you're arguably the biggest show in the right wing, right? And you certainly were on Fox, and you have the numbers to back it up now, right? We're arguably the biggest show on the left. This is you could argue that it's the heads of the families getting together on behalf of the American people, saying the right and the left. And then, by the way, we can bring in any independents. You could bring in Tim Dillon, anyone else, and they will say the same thing. Enough. Yeah. We have no hatred in our hearts, okay?
I don't.
But enough. So not another dollar, and we're done with you guys. And hey, good luck. Good luck with Iran, right? but I don't have to spend $1 trillion fighting your war
No,
for you
I
in
agree.
Iraq.
Dude, I was just talking to my Tunisian friend, right? I was literally talking to him about that. I was like, if America goes to war, the economy is screwed, you know. I will be devastated, you know. And he lives in that part of the world too. So I asked him, "Are you scared or anything?" He was like, "Nah, you know, it's all right." You know, they're too complacent there. But right here, look, I have a house I'm trying to sell. You know, I have saved. I have worked for 12-hour days, 6 days a week for 2 years to save some down payment to buy me a freaking house. That I'm moving right now because of some unfortunate circumstance. So I have to sell the house, and I've not been able to sell the house. Been years, been scammed over and over. And if they go to war, if we go to war, the economy is gonna go. Dollar is gonna take a nosedive. All of us going to be into trouble. You know, all of us. Whether you own a house or not. If you don't, then you're even more trouble. You're not gonna have jobs. You know, we know when they. So what's that war is going to do? So not only that we're spending billions of dollars, but they might shut off the oil, which makes everything more expensive. It's not about the cars, oils, and the thing. It's manufacturing. Everything would get so much more expensive that people might be losing jobs, the salaries and the pay is gonna get way down. The dollar would lose its value. It's just terrible. You don't want to have a war in these circumstances. So I couldn't. I mean, I'm glad that Cenk is talking about it, and I'm not glad that Tucker's not talking about it enough. You know, but yeah,
Good luck. Good luck with Iran, right?
right.
But I
Hundred
don't have to
percent,
spend
hundred
$1
percent.
trillion fighting your war
No,
for you
I
in Iraq.
agree.
Right.
I don't. And what if look,
We don't.
and you know
We
what they're
don't.
doing,
Like,
guys?
pull back. Like, this is so unhealthy, this relationship. Pull back. We both regain our sovereignty. Israel doesn't have sovereignty exactly either. I mean, I don't know, you could debate what sovereignty means, but they're totally dependent on the United States. That's not good. How's that good
Yeah.
for Israel? And so, like, let's just become normal countries again and then be friends.
Yeah.
That seems like a good outcome to me.
Yeah, by the way, it's a terrific outcome for Israel, right? So now when you total it all together, probably around 350 billion that they've taken from us, and and 8 trillion in wars we did for them. Take the win and go. Like it's time to take the winnings off the
I
table.
feel that.
Right? So if you say no, I want another 300 billion, I want another 100 billion, I want you to pay for another war, and I'm going to take more of
And you
Gaza.
can't have the First Amendment
Yeah.
anymore because you're not allowed to criticize me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's when I say I'm not participating in this. Totally happy to go to jail for it. I don't care. I'm never going to participate in any effort by a foreign power or our own government to
As you
limit
should.
my birthright.
So Tucker, let's talk about that because there's so many things that Israel does that I'm not sure people are aware of. And why are they not aware of it? Because establishment media not only doesn't report on it, but actively covers it up. Right. And if you dare report on it, they'll call you names and try to ruin your career. Okay. So what have they done? First of all, the First Amendment is sacrosanct. So no, there is no exception to the First Amendment for Israel. And by the way, if you say there should be, you're trying to destroy our Constitution. Okay. So no, we're not going to let you destroy our Constitution. So no, nobody should be arrested on a college campus for writing an op-ed against Israel, an editorial saying that they should be sanctioned. That's all. That's what that Turkish PhD student wrote. And they're like, that's it, arrest her. What do you mean arrest her for her speech? What does that mean? And now, as I said, they're targeting American workers, trying to get them fired. The lady who put both of us on a list for, anti-Semite of the year, whatever, she went and gave a speech about, and by the way, everyone could look up every fact I'm saying. They can go find the videos for themselves, and they should spread it all over the internet. And she's on there going, we're going to find any American that opposes us, and we're going to try to ruin their lives. She said it.
Oh my
She's like, we're going to make sure they never get a job.
So
They never get
demonic.
a wife, a husband. We're going to go after their families. I'm like, you're
Go
saying
after
it
their
out
families.
loud. You're saying it out loud, right?
We don't believe in blood guilt in this country, period.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why your family was able to move from Turkey and you wound up close friends with an Armenian because you're not responsible for what your ancestors did. That is a core American value.
Exactly. So then there's 31 states, I believe. Again, look it up. Maybe it's 30, maybe it's 29. God bless. But about that area that have passed laws saying you're not allowed to boycott or divest or sanction Israel. And if you're an American company that does that, we're going to take away your contracts from the state governments. You will be punished severely financially, your family, your business, etc., if you dare to disagree with Israel. What the fuck kind of law is that? And by the way, that's a lot of Democratic.
He said it so good. What the fuck? That kind of law is that? Dude, I gotta just repeat that. I know that the F word is not something that's good on YouTube, but that was so good. What the F kind of law is that? That is very true.
What the fuck kind of law is that?
Look at his face. It's so good.
And by the way, that's a lot of Democratic governors and a lot of Republican governors. If your governor is saying you must serve Israel, and if you dare to defy Israel, I'm going to take away your living, and I'm going to take away American government contracts from you. You should be livid about that.
Is there any law in the United States that you've heard of that says if you criticize the U.S. government, our Constitution, desecrate our flag, like I don't think there's any penalty ever for attacking the United States, and I'm not saying there should be, of course. But then how can there be penalties for disagreeing with a foreign country? You can say whatever you want about America, whatever you want, and people do it. I'm glad you can. But the second you're critical of Benjamin Netanyahu, you get punished by the U.S. government?
That's insane.
But that's the state of play. I don't think it's an exaggeration, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not. Again, Mad Lib it. Put in any other country.
But even your own country, it's totally fine.
Yeah, you can criticize America all day long.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You can call for sanctions of America. You can call for boycotting America. You can call for you want to go after the Portuguese, okay? Imagine if they said you're allowed to criticize every country on earth, including your own, except Portugal. Why? Why except Portugal, right? But if you say why except Israel, anti-Semite.
Yeah.
And why do they say anti-Semite? It's to eliminate every voice of opposition to Israel in American conversation.
Are you ready for the consequences of this, though? I mean, you're a business owner, you're a father.
Yeah.
I'm not being melodramatic. I never talk about this stuff. I'm not going to now, but I'm just...
Okay, so this is about halfway point. This is way too long, so let's make it into a part 1 and part 2. So far, this is part 1, so... it started on and off, I was a little bit, I mean, I would give it about like a, maybe 6 or 7 out of 10. 6, 7. No pun intended here, but it just came like that. So, yeah, like, I've been more of, like, so far, Cenk is doing, like, so at the beginning, Cenk, he was going over the same thing over and over, so I was not a fan of that. It was a little boring, but I like when Cenk was just getting really intense about his feelings. Tucker has been so kind of malleable and like sounds not as, I mean, he I'm not sure if he's real or not. I don't know what's in his heart, but he looks fake. I don't know, why does he look like that? Why? I feel like it's intentional. Yeah, no, I relate more to Cenk. All of what he said so far was very true. Repeated and a little boring at the beginning, yes, but all of what he said is very true, and I'm not an atheist. I don't agree with everything that he says, but many of the things that he said here is very true. So, as a person who is an Arab American, I agree with Cenk so far. So, wait for part 2, right?